another thing to maybe be saying is here at this point, obviously, we've got a very simple drum. This is not the whole story. This is just the basics. Layering is one of the things that now becomes sort of the next step in my process. So I'm going to load up a group where I used a resampled drum that I made in exactly the same way, and already kind of selected a few different sounds just so that you don't have to see me navigating my sound bank. So let me just load up this group here. All right, so we have here, so these are drums that I've resampled as well. Then here we've got some sort of Foley sounds. Foley is stuff I really like to layer for just the texturization of normal drums, you know, just to kind of make them sound a little bit more unusual. I've just used this sample, these samples, which are from the Battery standard sound bank. So these are sort of, I envision this as a layer for my snare and a layer for my kick, just for a little bit of unusualness. So let's just do a little bit of programming. So we will just quickly set up just a standard step. Also make sure that we're just soloing this for the moment. Good, so there we go. I will come, you know, out of my mode. All right, so in terms of layering, the first sound, so this I saw going over the top of the snare. So let's just quickly using the software. You know, you can see I'm not quite the finger drummer that some people might be, but also I guess my sound isn't really that sound. So I just program this over the snare. You can just hear just sort of this texturized kind of extra little bit of interestingness. Maybe not even that audible to most people if you don't know it's there, but it just sort of makes the drums more interesting. There's more stuff going on just in terms of the sound design of it. Same goes for this sound over the kicks. Let's just go into the mix of it a little bit. I think that one comes through a little bit much. I just want a tiny touch. Let's see what we can do with that. So that seems to be fine for me. So another layer that I'll apply to now this sort of drum group is the percussion here. It's another drum synth. I've just loaded it up already, but you know, it's just you know, so, again, it's in the same place with sound level, and we will use here, it's called percussion. Now, stop this for a second and we go to the plugin. We've got different engines again. This is a bit of a sort of an 808 tom. What I'm really interested in, by far the most, is the shaker. It's super useful. It's just really good. Now you can just hear a little bit of that going on, but what's also good, it's got like sort of a built-in kind of player algorithm. So we've got the machine, the realistic. This is sort of supposed to, you know, mimic a little bit more of a moving type of shaker, but the performer is the one really. Every time I keep it pressed, I've got like somebody fully doing a proper shaker loop. We could influence the stuff like the accent of that. You can really hear the sort of, there's an accent in it. Also, we can do some speed changes if you want to do triplets or some such. You can see we can tighten it up as well. Now I think we just take the accent down a little bit, but you can have a little bit in it. I quite like the sort of real sounding stuff. You can play with the tuning here a little bit and the filtering. And the grain makes it a little more gritty, which is quite nice. Just make it sound a little bit less sort of white noise. Now if we quantize that, I think I played it just too late, so we'll just move it over manually just too quick. You could also do that going into the notes and then just sort of changing the position. So now we've just got like a nice little percussion layer. That sounds pretty good to me. You know, we can sort of reverse stuff like that on it. We can do that later when we get to more of a stage. then on the next, I'm just coming up with a bunch of different sounds so that later on we can start building a track from this. I quite like using cymbals. In this case, I have used a cymbal, and this is again a drum synth. The cymbal, you can do a crash or a ride. I've got the ride set up fairly high. I've made it a little bit flat so that over the top, you know, not too much of the transient will mess with the real drums, like the kick and the snare and the hi-hat. Those are the transients. I don't need transient from this. I need sort of tail and sort of filling up kind of, you know, sort of wash, I guess you would say. Here we go. The drums are running here again. That is for later. It's not that important now. In fact, I might as well delete it. But this is a second instance of the original drums, and on this I'll apply sort of heavy filtering and stuff like that, so that we don't leave, you know, the original drums, we leave them untouched. And then here I have loaded up two loops straight into pads. They are from my sample pack. On Loop Masters, came out, when did it come out? Half a year ago, something like that. And these are just some loops from in there. This is a noise loop that I've made. It's just like a top layer for drums, and you can hear just a little bit of extra noise. And here's a tambourine. You can hear these are just long samples. One thing, if you do load up these sounds, one thing you really need to have a quick look for, you can see it here all running. I could slice this if I wanted to, like really edit it, but in this case I just want to use it as a layer, so it'll be fine like this. One thing is standard in a sampler. Standard mode is one shot, you can change that I believe, but I want to make sure that it's an ADSR with short release and just sort of a full kind of open decay sustain sort of situation, so that every time I play it, it plays and it stops otherwise automatically, and it doesn't run the whole thing, so that I now can actually control that a little bit. I could do a little bit more influencing of the pattern of it. So again, we could just play that as a long running note, and you know, if we just quickly kind of mute, so now we can see here we want to mute the percussion. So, you know, we've got like those different ones. Just move this one up so you can hear it as well. This typical kind of noise loops stuff that I like to add, you know, just to kind of create a little bit more movement and stuff behind it going on, and just a little bit less obvious than just adding a lot of extra hi-hats and stuff like that. So in this case, we've got a group with a lot of different kind of bits of drums. You know, we're using the percussion engine here over the top, the cymbal engine, and we're using a couple of samples, you know, some sort of Foley stuff, as I said, for layering, very important, and some different types of, you know, percussive switch-ups for later on. So we're just starting to build up kind of a good group to then move forward with. So I think that will be it for drums. It's time to move on to some sounds.